Liam Lawson's Formula One career has had various twists and turns, from his debut in Zandvoort to his surprising demotion following China. He is currently back at VCARB for the Japanese Grand Prix, just weeks after making his debut with Red Bull. And now he's back with the media. He has taken some sly digs at Red Bull, and most notably Horner, about how this all came to happen. Looking back first, as during the winter break, Lawson was quite confident in his chances of adapting to Red Bull. "We're meant to be able to drive what we're given, and maximize that," he said in February. "So I think for me, it's not really so much of whether the driving style suits me or not." In his first thoughts since the Red Bull swap, Lawson argues that an incompatible driving style was not his main issue. Instead, the 23-year-old emphasizes his limited track experience. Red Bull is harsh when it comes to appraising driver skill, even when things are going well. Nick de Vries and Daniel Ricciardo are the Austrian team's most recent casualties. Consistent with this approach, Christian Horner and Helmut Marko considered it essential to demote Liam Lawson just 2 weeks into 2025. Given Red Bull's optimism when they initially offered Lawson a contract, this was surely a tough pill to swallow. For obvious reasons, the Kiwi was confident in his ability to compete with Max Verstappen. This belief was evident going into the preseason and remains basically unchanged today. Lawson told Sky Sports that he was disappointed with how the season's first few rounds played out. He said that a lack of track time, rather than the RB21's characteristics, prohibited him from performing at the desired level. "It was a rough start. We had a rocky first weekend in Melbourne with practice. Then obviously, China was a sprint. Yeah, I think going to places I'd been before, with the way the car was quite tricky, I think that would have helped. Yeah, I would have loved that opportunity. Obviously, it's not my decision, and I'm here to make the most of this one, at VCARB." Prior to the Chinese Grand Prix, it was expected that Japan and Bahrain would reveal more information about the 23-year-old's potential with Red Bull. Lawson has years of experience in Super Formula and has definitely finished his testing in Bahrain, so both tracks are good choices for him. Unfortunately, his challenges were deemed too critical to wait for these circuits. "The car's hard to drive, but we were going through a process of making that adjustment," Lawson continued. "For me, it's time. With the way the weekends went, in a pre-season test you're driving all day, and you have loads of time to adjust and things like that. Honestly, a lack of time in the car is really the biggest thing for me, that made it hard to adjust. It felt like each session we were going out we were sort of adjusting or getting used to something that was a little bit unknown. So for me, it's not so much driving style or something like that, it's just literally adjusting. And for me, I just didn't have the time to do that." For obvious reasons, Lawson's future is questionable. If Yuki Tsunoda hits the ground running, it will hardly portray a positive picture of his 2-race tenure in the RB21. Even if the Japanese driver struggles at Red Bull, Lawson's return to the main team appears doubtful. Regardless, there is still much to gain from a big return at VCARB. The Faenza-based squad has a quick enough car to compete in the top 10, as proved by Tsunoda and Isaac Hadjar. This provides Lawson an opportunity to rebuild his reputation in the next weeks and months. Of course, his prospects at Red Bull do not look promising for the near future. Still, there is no reason to lose motivation for the remainder of 2025. With Arvid Lindblad's F1 trajectory as solid as ever, Lawson cannot afford to disappoint at VCARB. He must lay a fresh foundation by gaining an advantage over his new comrade Hadjar, which will provide him with a platform to expand on. The F1 market, including Red Bull, has proved how fast and dramatically things may shift in recent years. Lawson, a young driver with a competitive car, is still in an excellent position to do well. However, his words might have hurt the Red Bull squad and Horner. And according to the squad itself, and most notably Horner, it was Lawson himself that has hurt his own chances, not the car. This came to light just before the start of the Japanese GP weekend, as almost every hour brings new information about Red Bull and their driver lineup. For obvious reasons, Christian Horner's crew is under intense scrutiny when Yuki Tsunoda succeeds Liam Lawson for the remainder of 2025. Tsunoda will be pushed into the deep end for his home race in Japan, adding another layer to his baptism by fire. Potentially wet conditions for Sunday's race could exacerbate an already challenging scenario for the 24-year-old. Despite the unique nature of such an early transfer, Christian Horner feels Red Bull are on the right track and has brushed off any harsh comments from Lawson about his treatment. Christian Horner's faith in Liam Lawson was evident last season when he replaced Daniel Ricciardo with the 23-year-old. The Red Bull team principal believed so strongly in Lawson that he paired him with Max Verstappen after only completing 11 Grand Prix. This decision was especially audacious given Red Bull's habit of promoting young drivers prematurely. Within a few races, Horner admitted that his choice to elevate Lawson was rash. He feels Yuki Tsunoda has the expertise to compensate for a lack of pre-season and adjust to the RB21 position. Nonetheless, he believes that Lawson's future is far from over. "Yeah, look, of course it's horrible," he told Sky Sports, "because you're taking away someone's dreams and aspirations. But sometimes you've got to be cruel to be kind. I think that in this instance, this is not the end for Liam." That is what I was very clear with him. There's a sample of 2 races. I think we've asked too much, too soon. We've got work to do with the car. We need to draw on the experience that Yuki has. In the meantime, you need to go and rebuild yourself in the Racing Bulls. In an environment that you know, and that is perhaps less pressured than Red Bull Racing. Red Bull's official statement cited Tsunoda's experience as a key component in their decision. The Milton Keynes outfit appears to be hoping that the 24-year-old can provide feedback on the RB21 setup and broaden its operational window. Of course, the extent to which Tsunoda can extract some performance from such a difficult vehicle is unknown. Nonetheless, they believe the Japanese driver's experience with the likes of Nyck de Vries and Daniel Ricciardo has improved his technical grasp of F1 cars, which may be a significant advantage. Speaking of Tsunoda's technical knowledge, Christian Horner told Sky Sports that some of his engineers were concerned about Lawson's performance, and this has ultimately expedited the decision, as points are crucial at the start of the season, especially with Verstappen, who seems to be able to get close to the McLaren, so a second driver that consistently scores is key to stay close to the Papaya squad. I think with everything we saw in Australia and China, you could see that it was affecting Liam quite badly. We could have left it. And I think Liam is a driver with talent. Maybe with half a season he would have got there. But we just don't have that amount of time. It was something what was very clear to the engineering side within the team. Just how much Liam was struggling with it all. And you could see that weight upon his shoulders. The engineers were coming to me very concerned about it, and at the end of the day, I think it was the logical thing to do. With only simulator sessions to prepare, Tsunoda is unlikely to enter this weekend's action on a solid foundation. At the same time, Lawson's struggles in the RB21 will allow the 24-year-old time to adjust to the Red Bull. If Tsunoda can even make it to Q3 and compete for points, Red Bull will have something to work with. Tsunoda is pretty calm about the issue, demonstrating the level-headed demeanor that will be required for his next chapter at Red Bull. While the future remains uncertain, Christian Horner's team is dedicated to this configuration. Only time will tell whether it is effective. What do you think? Will Tsunoda be able to match Verstappen even a little bit? And will this enable Red Bull to battle the McLarens on track? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.